2, 1.
Thank you very much. I am going to bring our meeting back into session at 6:34. And just as a reminder, all cards need to be in if you do want to speak during public comment. There was no action taken during closed session, and we move back into open session. We do have one of our board members, Scott Fayette, who is joining us via Zoom. He is not feeling well today, but he is doing his board responsibility, which I just have so much gratitude for. And then we go into open session, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Will, since it is your last meeting, would you please lead us? If you would all remain standing, please. Thank you. I'm going to try to do this while I'm standing. I'm going to request a moment of silence. Before we move forward with our Board of Education meeting, we would like to ask our community to pause for a moment of silence in honorable memory of those that have tragically lost their lives as a result of recent community shootings, both locally and nationally, including students and staff members who were taken this afternoon at an elementary school in Texas. Today is an unspeakable tragedy that these senseless losses of life are difficult to process. And while we know there are no words equal to the depths of the loss of these communities are suffering, our deepest and most sincere thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their loved ones. Please join us for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you very much for your time and attention. And now we will move on to our executive summary. And Elvia, do you want to give us a report?
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam President. Earlier today, I had the privilege to co-present alongside Myra Gonzalez, Director of Fiscal Services. We presented to the board a summary of the state and federal COVID-19 funds that the district has received so far. We presented the summary with all the a list of expenditures, our current balances, and we identified priorities and needs that we currently have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And it was an excellent presentation. And if you have questions about where the COVID dollars have been spent in our district, the PowerPoint will be on the website, and it'll also be part of our board summary. So it was an excellent presentation. Thank you. Dr. Pulver, did you have anything? Okay, well, our next action item is the adoption of Resolution 2021 through 2022 in recognition of the school board member, William Brandenberger. Dr. Pulver?
Thank you, Madam President, esteemed members of the board. We've been very fortunate, I would say blessed, to be able to have Will as our student board member this school year. And we look forward a little bit later on the agenda to go more in depth about really recognizing him. But before we do, we'd like to have the board approve this resolution that we can give him a copy when we do the recognition a little bit later in the agenda.
Want me to move approval?
She moved?
Oh, she moved.
I need a second?
Oh, second.
Okay, and we'll have discussion later. Don't you worry, Will. So roll call, Mrs. D'Angelo.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Catulli.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Forhan.
Aye.
Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
Awesome. And now we move on to the approval of the appointment of our new student representative. And Dr. Pulver, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you. Well, not that you can be replaced.
Yeah.
But we do have we're excited to announce that we have a new student board rep that will start for the new school year, who's also in the audience tonight. One of the things we have the pleasure to be able to do is to interview our students who are interested. And I'm pleased to share that we had many students who were interested. The board president, myself, and our deputy superintendent, Mrs. Reed, interviewed a host of well-qualified students, but Alexa Dharmapalan, really just rose to the top, and we are pleased that she'll be able to be our student board rep for next year, and we too will do a little more introduction later, but we wanted to formally recognize the appointment first. So,
Thank you, Dr. Pulver.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand. Aye. Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
Fabulous. And as we move on, I am going to go ahead and, sorry, turn that off. I'm going to go ahead and go through the president's report. So this is a very celebratory time in our district, in the sense is that, as you've seen probably through a couple of the last meetings, we've celebrated all of our staff with various days of recognition. We have also been going through, sorry, Tina, it's not, oh, there we go. We have also been going to various sites, and one of the things that we've been doing is celebrating longevity. And this is a very special place, and I love seeing so many students in the audience, but you will find that as you move on, is that this is what you know, and that's amazing. But as you get out there and you go to college, or you go to work, and you start talking to people about the high schools that they went to and the communities they lived in, you're really going to find that it's a very special place you live. And one of the reasons is that because people really stay here, in the sense of that our staff comes in and is committed to their sites and to this community, and to giving that sense of longevity, as well as consistency to all of our sites. And so we had an opportunity to go out and present these fabulous pins. I have mine on. It says 10 years to staff members, and we do it in 5-year increments. So we celebrate everybody all the time that is made it through every year, but we really celebrate and recognize those 5-year increments. And we had, I think we had a 35-year Dr. Frazier this time. I don't think I've seen a 40, but have you? No, I have not seen a 40, but I have seen a 35-year, and we had one this year. So imagine spending your whole career in Los Alamitos Unified. And you have a lot of people who do that and are willing to do that because of all of you and who they serve. And so these are the various dates of the sites that we went out to, and we get a chance to just thank them and either give them a high five, or what was that tunnel we did, Dr. Pulver?
Spirit Tunnel.
A spirit tunnel. We did some spirit tunnels, high fives, hugs, tears, handshakes, whatever they would like. And so it has been a really amazing process for us. And so just a couple of pictures of the various different sites where we've been, and the employees that have gotten their pins. And these are for all employees, no matter what level of employee you are with the district. Even board members get pins. So, if board members get them. So just a variety of different places and different sites. You'll see the one up at the top is the auxiliary. And so different school sites. Mrs. Gutuli crouching there so everybody could get in the picture. Appreciate that. And then we will be doing Hopkinson Elementary School next week, correct? Yes, next week, Tuesday. Thank you. The month is going by so fast, I can't keep track of it. And so I think that this is a really amazing number. If you look at 2021 and 2022 school year, we are celebrating over 1,860 total years of longevity in our district. So we would like to congratulate all of them. And then I know that Dr. Pulver is going to talk a little bit about our retirement in a few minutes, and that was also a celebration. But oh my goodness, what an incredible honor it was to be able to go up to Sacramento and to go to a very special luncheon where Armando Gomez was named one of California's Classified Employees of the Year. And that is phenomenal. But what I didn't really know until I got there, as you can see, I got a chance to go and to be at the luncheon as well, and it was a lovely time for all of us. But what was really special to me was that Armando, there's certain categories of classified employees, and so Armando was picked as the technical services employee of all of California. For those of you who don't know, that's pretty much your IT kind of jobs, but just amazing and amazing the stories that we heard of classified employees, and happened to be Classified Employee Week, and Dr. Pulver was really nice to point that out and did a wonderful job introducing Armando, and it was just a good afternoon spent by all, and I'm just very grateful to have been there and to have such an amazing employee be part of LaSalle Unified. And that is it for my president's report. Dr. Pulver. Oh, no, Will. Will, I'm sorry, Will. Ooh, okay, well.
Oh, there's already tissues up here. My bad. Oh, you will. I will too. All right. Good evening, President Hill, esteemed board members, Dr. Pulver, executive cabinet, and community members watching in person or online. Welcome to my very last board report. After 15 meetings, we arrived to the last one, and this one's going to be longer than usual, so let's save some time and dive into this week's report. And the clip, I don't know. Okay, perfect. So now we come to the first of the four major slides, academics. For this report, I think it's very valuable to look back at the year as a whole and go over what was accomplished by the district as a whole. Firstly, we had our first normal school day in 2 years. This was the first time students had a 7-hour school day, a day where they got to eat lunch with their friends, talk to their peers after class, and just be themselves. Over the course of the school year, students challenged themselves academically in every way possible. Whether it's staying after class to get help, attending Griffin virtual labs, or staying up until 12 a.m. to get everything done after lots of procrastination, it all worked out in the end. And at a culmination of a year's worth of work comes one final event for seniors, graduation. 4 years of hard work comes to a close on June 10th as seniors walk down the stage at the Santa Ana Bowl to receive their diploma. But for now, that's all I have for academics. Now, obviously, school is about grades and tests, but one thing that really thrives at Los Alamitos High School is activities. Students got to attend a high school dance in what felt like ages for the first time and break out in some intense and very awkward dance moves. Lunchtime activities made a return with spikeball and cornhole on a regular basis. We were able to hold an actual assembly for the first time in over 2 years and set a new precedent with the redefined Griffin Games that took place this year. And besides the various dances, clubs, and after-school activities, the Los Alamitos Locos held their title as the Orange County Register's Student Section of the Year. When it comes down to it all, and you ask a student their favorite memory from high school, I can guarantee you it will not be their super hard calculus or history test. It will be the activities they attended. Major credit goes to Los Al's ASB Activities and Assemblies team, who would stay for hours after school to make sure every event was perfect and up to their standards. Activities are what shape a Griffin into a well-rounded person, as they show every student it's okay to have fun at school. But for now, that's all I have for activities, and let's keep that student section energy high and that school spirit up. Now, there really isn't enough time in a single report to recap all the athletics for the year, as I don't know much about sports. But on Los Al's campus, there's over 18 active athletic programs. Within those programs are countless student athletes who are able to prioritize both their education and their athletic abilities. And on top of each student being dedicated to their respective sport, it is a supportive group and family and friends going to their every outing. This year alone, we had over 30 student athletes that committed to various universities with the intention of playing D1 athletics. What makes athletes so special at Los Al is the fact that the entire school is involved and not just one group of people. On campus, you will find people repping their favorite sports gear and many signs around school telling students where and when the next game will be. It just goes to show once again that Los Al builds the whole student, one that is invested in both academics and athletics, but also makes time for their out-of-school activities. The athletics slide has been very hard for me to work on, as I really don't know much about sports, but I hope I made everyone proud, and there are so many teams to keep track of. But for now, that's all I have for athletics. Now, before I get to the year recap for arts, I think it's worth mentioning the choir show that happened last week, Pops. This was the final choir show of the year and the final show for seniors. All graduating students were able to have a solo if they wanted to, and photos of them throughout their years at Los Al were displayed. While I was not able to attend, my parents went, and take my mom's word for it, it brought many tears to the crowd. Another highlight was seen backstage when on Saturday, at the Saturday performance, senior James Lieben gave himself a complete buzz cut during intermission. While this act was completely unexpected, it got everyone riled up. But now for the recap, and I can't think of anywhere else to start than mentioning the fact that all of our arts programs were able to come back in person full time. This means the students did not have to sing through a screen in order to connect to their peers, but could embrace the music firsthand. Drama was able to bring shows like Back to the 80s, Puffs, and Results May Vary to the stage. Dance had many Broadway-level dance shows with the Ghostlight and Desktop Drama, and all of our band programs brought the music back into our hearts with various shows, festivals, and performances. Through all of Los Al's arts programs lies one common theme: the ability to unify people through the power of performance. Every student on the stage was able to, for some period of time, entrance audiences in the spectacle that is live theater for an instant and make them live in the moment. All of the arts programs did an amazing job this year, and the future is just as bright, but for now, that's all I have for arts. And for our final teacher time, I can think of no better way to wrap up this series with the two best teachers on campus, Mr. Fenton and Mrs. Siaka. While I'm sure the board is very familiar with these two amazing individuals, I will give a quick insight into their lives. Mr. Fenton has been a part of the district his entire life, being a Los Al grad and star football athlete. The past 4 years, he's been able to call Room 420 his home. Wow, that was a bad voice crack, sorry. As Room 420 as his home, as one of our ASB advisors. But Room 420 isn't a one-man show, as Mrs. Siaka is the other half of this dynamic duo. Having been in the district for many years and originally teaching 4th grade, Mrs. Siaka calls LAHS, thank you for another water, I'm gonna need that. And when combined together, there's nothing this duo cannot do. On the weekends, you will find Mr. Fenton hanging out with his girlfriend, attending sporting events, and waking up at 5 a.m. to hit the gym bright and early with a large bottle of pre-workout. For Mrs. Siaka, she often finds herself in nature, going on wild and crazy hikes across the various national parks, spending time with her husband, stopping by Disneyland, baking cookies or brownies, and spending time with her dog, Millie. After 2 years getting to know these two individuals, it's great to look back and have so many happy memories. Mr. Fenton was my PE teacher in 8th grade, and I'll be honest, I did not like him at first because he told me to keep running after the bell rang. And Mrs. Siaka was my 4th grade teacher. I have to give her a special shout out for encouraging me to speak at 5th grade promotion over 8 years ago. She made me stand on a table when I was so nervous to speak. And that was the end of the story, but I don't have to do that now, so that's pretty cool. ASB is unified. ASB is unified because of the work of these two teachers. Now, I know I said it in my last report, but the message applies here more so. You don't get enough credit for the credit you give others. Thank you both for your guidance and care over the years. You truly have given me some of the best memories I will ever have. And now it's time for Student Spotlight. So instead of honoring a new student this week, I think it's amazing to show off all the students I've covered this past year. We started with Ashley Heron and Hannah Fackrell, our fearless ASB leaders. Next was Annabelle Junn, who teaches English to children in the Middle East. Riley Yu showed us the impact that chemistry can have on the youth of Los Al, and Reese Yoshizawa fought his way to the top as the best karate champion in the entire world. After that, Danielle Barron sung her way through the district with her award-winning voice. Kate Younger dominated the golf world with her impressive swing, and Jack Hansen sailed his way to the top. Michael Henderson showed us how to shred down the mountain, Cody Tran brought out the child in everyone with his love for video games, and Zach Norris demonstrated the power of using hydrogen as a fuel for racing cars. Jack Rogers showed us his amazing grit and passion for having fun. Ava Mendoza displayed academic rigor and excellence, being the second Los Al senior in the past 10 years to be attending Stanford University. Lizzie Schmidt made everyone laugh at Griffin News, and Mibia Abisham showed her fierce soccer skills after being crowned OC Register Player of the Year. But the one student spotlight that deserves all the praise is Alexa Dharmapalan. Alexa is a kind soul who cares more about her others than she does her own self. She's a selfless leader who I'm happy to not only call my friend, but my successor for next year. Lexi, I'm so proud of the person you have come to be. You've never let me down once, and I know you will continue to be the amazing person you always have been. Please enjoy your time at this podium. It will go by fast, especially when you're crying. And keep being you. Remember to keep dancing through life and never change. As I wind down tonight's report, there are a few people I need to acknowledge and thank. The first being the people in this room who haven't showed up as much recently, but thank you to those who came every 2 weeks to the meetings. You showed me that America is an ever-growing nation and that there's beauty in democracy. Thank you for showing me what my government class took a whole semester to explain. Next, my parents. Mom and Dad, you've given me the best life I could ask for. You taught me to be unapologetically myself, made me understand the true value of $1, and showed me the importance of having 2 parents that love each other. Mom, you take more than you give. You still continue to be by my side when I need it, and you've set a bar that I think no other woman can surpass. Dad, out of my time growing up, I can think of nothing else but the best advice you have given me. To quote my dad, the 2 most powerful forces in the universe are unconditional love and compound interest. I'm glad you taught me to appreciate both. And for this wonderful Board of Education, you have had to face absurdity in the most crazy of times. And yet through all of it, still managed to sneak a laugh at some of my jokes. Mr. Fayette, I wish you were here, but you are kind. You care more than others than yourself, and you've raised a son that I truly look up to. Mrs. Catulli, you have a true passion for the students in this district, making it clear you genuinely want people to be happy. Mrs. Davidson, you have a drive and power that makes me light up when I see you walk into a room, and you give the best hugs. Mrs. Hill, you are a passionate civil leader that strives for excellence. I envy your public speaking skills, and I wish I had your confidence. Dr. Pulver, I genuinely do not understand how someone can care as much about their job as you do. You are the first in and the last to leave, always making sure everyone is up to their own personal standards of happiness. And Tina, I will miss our talks before board meetings, and how you never fail to make time for me. You are someone that I look up to, and my day is instantly better when I see you. Mr. Foran, I don't know where to begin. At the last meeting, you said every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them. You are my champion. Your countless letters and words of praise have made me feel so appreciative and thankful to live in the amazing district we have. I counted all my letters. There's over 20. That's excessive, but thank you. I also need to thank Mr. Quartermarsh for taking time out of his very busy schedule every 2 weeks to go over my reports and make sure I don't screw up too bad. Mr. Quartermarsh, I truly enjoyed getting to know you this year. I will miss our awkward conversations before each report and the constant ridicule for not knowing anything about sports. And lastly, ASP, who all came here tonight. I know you are probably sick and tired of me asking for photos for my reports, but I will miss each and every one of you. While I stand here every 2 weeks and say what's been going on at LaSalle, the people who really deserve the praise are here. This wacky, crazy, and oftentimes sidetracked group of people helped me to find myself, taught me to live a little, and it's okay to randomly jump out in a song in the middle of 4th period. Thank you for the memories. 11 a.m. on weekdays will never be the same without you all. Before I leave this building for the last time, I wanted to share some of my favorite quotes that I believe everyone should hear at least once in their life. Firstly, do not judge a person of how they handle their wins, but how they handle their losses. Take a quick water break. Secondly, and from the Tony Award-winning actor Andre DeShields, slowly is the fastest way to get to where you want to be. Thirdly, and to quote my amazing grandmother, for better or for worse, this too shall pass. And fourthly, it's okay to cry, especially during board meetings. While all of these quotes reflect aspects of my life that I live up to every day, there's one quote that tops all of these. For my favorite Disney attraction of all time, the word Siva Ko is said during the ceremonial process of linking with an avatar and riding on the back of a mythical banshee. The word is simple in its meaning, but is something that carries weight when thought about. The direct translation of Siva Ko means rise to the challenge. Whether you have a choir show to perform in, a sporting event to play in, taking a test, or even speaking at a board meeting, you must always rise to the challenge that life throws your way. Thank you to everyone for this crazy experience. This is something I will never forget. But for now, that's all for this report. Thanks for listening to 16 of these very long slide presentations. And to those at the home, thanks for watching. Have a good night, and Siva Ko.
Thank you, Will. And I'm sure we are going to go into words about you after our superintendent's report, but I don't see any lack of confidence there.
I was going to say, how do you follow that? We should just drop the mic, gavel out, and be done with the meeting, I tell you. But there is more business to do. Thank you very much, Will. You continue to just speak from your heart and just show us who you are from your soul all the way out to the words that come out of your mouth. So thank you. You just are an exemplary, individual, young man, and I can't wait to see what's in store for your future. So, Mom and Dad, you should be proud. I'm sure you are. By the way, Dad, I love those two things: unconditional love and compounded interest. Tonight, I have the pleasure to really just highlight. Earlier today, we did our retirement ceremony for all of our wonderful employees who are saying goodbye and ending their career in public service. And it was just a beautiful celebration to really honor the years of selfless service to our community, to our students, to our families, and to this amazing community. One of the things that I mentioned is really that when we talk about what is LoSal, and one of the things I'll often say is the hallmark of this district are the people. It's really about the fabric of all these individuals that are just woven into the fabric of LoSal. And it's their labor of love, as I think I had mentioned today at the retirement ceremony, that really has created a living tapestry. And so tonight, what I'd like to do is to just highlight our retirees. And so for some reason, it does not want to cooperate. So congratulations to our 2021-22 retirees. There were a few that we'll mention tonight, who technically they retired after our retirement ceremony last year. So they might have retired in August or even mid-year. And then the years of service that we're gonna highlight is the years of service that they've given to education. The bulk of those years are probably here in LoSal, but some of our employees have worked in other districts before they landed home where they've retired here. And so without further ado, I'm going to mention each by name. So we have Ed Kessler, who was a bus driver for us for 6 years, who is retiring. In our food services, we have Jennifer Jose, who is at Lee Elementary School. She's been in a few sites before in the past, 9 years of service. Johnny Cortez, who's been a custodian for us, mostly here at the district office, but has worked at other sites as well. 14 years of service in education. It's great to see Ken today at the retirement ceremony. Ken Maggi, Los Alamitos High School custodian, campus supervisor, and gosh, he gave such a wonderful speech at the retirement ceremony today. 15 years. He really talked about how we're all an extended family, and now that he's stepped away, how he misses the family at times. So I really believe that we are family here. Marlene Rice, I had the pleasure of being able to be the principal of her daughter as well. She's been an instructional assistant, largely working in our adult transition program as well, special education instructional assistant for 18 years. We have Alicia Roberts, who is an extended daycare assistant, 20 years of service to education. And we talked a lot about how she really opened every morning and at probably 6 o'clock in the morning at Lee Elementary to provide care for our students and for our families who are needing to go off to work. Our beloved Eddie Clement, who was one of our classified employees of the year a few years back. I know the high school and our choir kids and community really are just going to be missing him after 21 years of service to education. He is the instructional assistant, the accompanist at the high school. Darlene Martin, who has been 22 years, I believe almost, and I think all 22 at Los Alamitos High School as a secretary to the assistant principals in various offices, mostly the activities. Rick Ramijo, who also has retired. It was so great to see his son as well. I had his son when I was at McAuliffe. and so custodian with us for 23 years. Juliet Gardner, just a beloved teacher at Oak Middle School, 27 years within education. I think we said it was 22, I think, here in Los Al. She's definitely going to be missed at Oak Middle School. Teaches math. Sharon Cruz, another one of our extended daycare assistants at McAuliffe Middle School. It was great to hear some of the stories of kids who were, some of the adults were sharing about just really the passion for middle school kids and be able to provide care after school or before school for our students. 27 years. You see we're kind of going in years order. Suzanne Graves was a teacher for us at Weaver Elementary. She taught a little bit at LAE as well the last few years, 27 years of service. Rob Main at Oak Middle School, and we heard he wears some amazing student or costumes for various student events. He's probably a Los Loco at heart, I would imagine. And so science teacher, he actually worked at the high school as a science teacher, but the bulk of the years at Oak Middle School, 28 years. And then we have Miss Deborah Cooley-Siegel, Rossmore Elementary School, elementary teacher, a lot of it at third grade, I believe, at Rossmore. It was great to see her tonight as well. 32 years of service and dedication to education. Mark Clabo, Los Alamitos High School, social studies teacher, 32 years. Is really this public service and giving back and supporting our youth. So he's retiring from Los Alamitos High School this year. Donna Winford, who has worked primarily at Los Alamitos High School as the health clerk, started off, I believe, as an instructional assistant, spent the last part of her time here this year kind of a split position between McAuliffe and Los Alamitos High, but really just one of those welcoming faces for our students who need to come into the health office. Mike Rose, what a great story about Mike. I had the pleasure of both Mrs. Davidson and myself being at McAuliffe. He actually started off as a custodian at Rossmore Elementary, and it was our teachers and the principal at the time at Rossmore who really encouraged this young man at 28 years old, where he shared, you should go into teaching. You're great with kids. And so he did. He went back to school and got his teaching credential while he was a custodian, nighttime custodian at Rossmore, and then had the pleasure of being able to teach math and science at McAuliffe Middle School. 36 years combined when you combine all those years of service to education. Mark Tolley, we recognize today as well. It was great to see him. At Oak Middle School, 37 years into public education. He's taught a variety of subjects, largely math, but has also taught English language arts and reading. Prior to this as well, he taught science at the elementary level and actually taught at both Oak and McAuliffe. I think when Oak came back, opened up, I think he had transferred over there. Kelly Rowe, who had retired in the late summer last year, she ended her career at Weaver Elementary, but she also taught at Los Al at home and then worked with us as well in our child development program as well. So 38 years to public education or to education in general. Another icon of ours, just Terry Fieldson. I think Mrs. Garcia called her the coach. And just how many different ways she's taught and coached little life lessons to so many, to really recognize the icon of Terry retiring now after 38 years of service. And really intriguing, I think every year she had taught kinder in the same room. Pretty rare if you think about that. I think Mike Rose has taught in the same room as well. I think we had heard that today. And sad to see Miss Erin Kaminsky, who's just been an exceptional principal for us, where she was a principal 19 years at Weaver Elementary, 7 years at Oak. Every school she has ever touched, she has made them great, and she has made it better and just propelled them. And so after 38 years of service, 26 of those years here in Los Alamitos, prior she worked in Roland, just an icon as well, who we're going to deeply miss. Kimberly Metcalf, she and I have a running joke. We sometimes call each other number ones. And so, Kim, you're number one. McGaw Elementary School. And what I didn't know is she started off as an SDC teacher and started with our community of learners at McGaw. 40 years of service to education. And I think it was 30 or 35 here in Los Al. So that it concludes the list of our retirees. We just want to thank all of our retirees. When you add up all of those years together when you think of the role of a public servant, and that's really what the role that we have, it's 581 years of service between these amazing individuals. So let's give a round of applause to all of our employees who are retiring.
Thank you, Dr. Pulver. As you can see, we've been doing a lot of celebrating and there's a lot of bittersweet in there as well. So we are next going to move on to our recognitions, and we are going to recognize William Brandenberger as our student board representative for 2021-2022. Dr. Pulver.
Well, Madam President, will you join me up at the podium? Sure.
Do you want?
So I can't promise more tears, but Will, we just have been so fortunate and blessed to be able to have you as our student board rep. I can remember distinctly when it was Mrs. Davidson and myself, and I believe Mrs. Reed, who got to interview the students, and ultimately where you were selected as our student board rep. And the same personality that you see tonight was the same personality you saw when we were interviewing and chatting with him. Will is the epitome of what a Griffin is. And when we think about what is a Griffin, and that's sometimes one of the questions that we ask students when they want to be the student speaker. You might remember that as well, Lexi, huh? What does it mean to be a Griffin? And Will just epitomizes that. When he says he doesn't know what sports is, I'm shocked because he's at every sporting event that I have seen. And so you fake it well, I must say. But a Griffin really is just someone who is exemplifies of service, who excels and supports the 4 A's in academics, athletics, activities, the arts. You certainly continue to do that in every single board report that you have, who is an individual of intense character and service. That Will is certainly that. The amount of someone who gives back to the community is part of the Griffin spirit as well in terms of character. Will continues to give back to the community in a myriad of ways. I believe you are the National League of Young Men. I would say his haunted house is really giving back to the community for years and years to come as well. And I think you were the 2021 Boys State Delegate to the American Legion. And so, but also just someone who deeply cares about students, about staff, really about humans, and maybe it goes back to the kind of the lessons that you've learned from your parents, but really just opening up your arms to be inclusive, to be a welcoming space. Whenever I've been on the high school and any campus event, Will just lights up and he comes to you and welcomes you. And I actually find that with all of the ASB students who will just come and suddenly just light up, welcome you, and let you make sure that you're a part of that. And so I think ASB has done such an amazing job to really extend the arms to make everybody feel connected, to feel warm and valued at the campus. And I think that's really what a Griffin is. And so we've been so fortunate. Will has been a student of ours from kindergarten through 12th grade. Rossmore Knight, McAuliffe Eagle, and a Griffin, if I got that right. Yes. And so he was the junior class president as well, and then in senior year elected to be, and was our student board rep. And you just give such a powerful voice for our students. You really get to highlight a myriad of students. So sometimes I think we make sure we don't just get typecast a certain type of a student, to really kind of give a spotlight and a voice to so many different programs, because on a comprehensive campus like we have at the high school, it's difficult to really be able to highlight that, and he's done a great job of being able to do that. Each of our student board reps give a little different spin, and so the student spotlight that you had, I think, was just spectacular. And then adding the other layer, because we know so much that we talk about research is just having at least one caring adult in the lives of students can have a significant impact, and hopefully we have many caring adults that are making that difference. But Will also really made a highlight of highlighting our staff members who made a significant impact in the lives of our students as part of your regular report. So on behalf of all of us, and I know our board president, Mrs. Hill, is also going to speak. Will, we just want to say congratulations and thank you for the exemplary service. You are a model Griffin for all of us, and we do have, I'm going to let Mrs. Hill, do you want to give him his name plaque? Sure. And this gift from the board, and the certificate.
All right, wait, before you get the goodies, you're going to have so, Will, I have known you through the community and through your parents, but the young man that I've had the opportunity to get to know is super special. And your joy in what you do and the trueness to who you are is just amazing. And I so appreciate that you brought that to our boardroom every board meeting. And there were really tough board meetings this past year, and you were truly a light for all of us, and really brought the campus of La Salle High School to us, and to see it in so many different ways. So we're so appreciative of not only what you've done, but just who you are, and can't wait to see what you do out into the world. And I hope that you're not too far in San Diego, so maybe you can come back and do the haunted house, because I mean, it was my highlights. No, I don't know.
Take some convincing.
Yeah, a little peer pressure. We'll try that. But I just, I'm so appreciative of you, and I know that each one of the board members would really like to say something, so I'm going to hold your goodies until they all do. Do you want to start with you, Mrs. Guttuli?
It would be my honor. Well, you are a very genuine human being, and I personally really like that about you. You're open, and you always seem ready. You're ready to listen to other people. You're ready to act. You're ready to learn. And I think you're ready for college. And after that, you're ready to take on the world. And it's going to be great when I'm able to say, I knew him when. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what you're going to be doing in the future. I also appreciate your sense of humor. I figure if you don't have a sense of humor, there's no sense in being on earth. So I really appreciate yours, and I think it's great. And I know that you will rise to whatever challenge comes your way, and you will deal with it in your own manner, and it will come out fabulous. Thank you.
Mrs. Davidson?
Well, what a year it's been. We've had Zoom meetings, protests, positive comments, lots of action, lots of speakers. You've really weathered it all well. And as Mrs. Hill said, you've done it with love and grace and kindness. And I can't imagine what your place in the world will be. And I don't necessarily mean that in terms of titles, because I know the titles are going to come, but what you have is what the world really needs, Will, and that's a heart for others. You see the best in other people. You assume the best in other people, and we need that so desperately in our world. You were just like a ray of sunlight, a piece of joy for us when you would come into the meetings. We all look forward to seeing you at 6:30. And I can't thank you enough for sharing all about what goes on at La Salle. And I know ASB, you guys are all student leaders with gigantic hearts. and that you are models for other young adults. And I really hope that you hold on to that spirit and that connection, and you go out and you show the world that this is a great place to be and we can do great things together because you have that kind of force within you. So thank you. We thank you with all our hearts.
And then Mr. Fayette, who's not here, just really wanted to express his thanks to you and really enjoyed having you as our student board rep. And then last but certainly not least, I know I'm trying to reach this thing, Mr. Forham.
Well, I don't know what I'm going to do on the morning after a board meeting when I can't drop a nice note to you around the corner. But I did want to tell your parents, don't get any ideas about passing those Halloween things around the corner to me, okay? Will, you are just a master. And I feel very fortunate to have gotten to know you better, and good luck in college. And come see me. I'm right around the corner from where you belong. Okay?
So once again, from the Board of Education, we want to thank you, and we hope that this experience lasts with you a lifetime. Thank you.
Should I go sit down? I don't know.
Sit down, yes.
As one goes out, one comes in. So at this point in time, Mrs. Reed, I will turn it over to you to introduce Alexa Dharma. It's going to take me a bit, but I'll get it. Dharmapalan.
Thank you so much, President Hill. You know, the thing I think I've loved about being in education my whole life is that we have these like bittersweet closings, and then they're really welcomed swiftly with a joyful opening. And so as we watch Will go out, it always reminds me of my time as a teacher and principal on the last day of school when everyone leaves, and I would walk the classrooms and it'd be very quiet and still. And you'd really be filled with these like great memories of what the year would be like. And then before I knew it, it was the day before school would start, and there would be the classrooms again the night before school starts, just really waiting for that joyful and that magic to happen. And so I think that's very similar as we see Mr. Brandon Berger leaving us. Swiftly will be welcomed by a bright joy, and that would be Miss Alexa Dharmapalan joining us next year as our school student board rep. And so Alexa is really passionate. She's a hardworking student at the high school. Throughout her high school career, Alexa has enjoyed being involved with the ASB since her freshman year when she served as freshman co-president. She served as the activities commissioner, assemblies commissioner, and then finally, her lasting legacy will be with us next year as our student board rep. Alexa challenges herself with a rigorous academic course, and she really does epitomize Griffin pride and school spirit. Alexa has participated in nationally award-winning show choir. She's a member of the Soundtracks, and this will be her 4th year studying French, and she's also takes part in the French Honor Society. Outside of school, Alexa participates in a nonprofit organization called Girls Incorporated, which she was able to share with us during her interview. She enjoys teaching young girls how to be strong, smart, and bold. Alexa really is an avid audiophile, spends most of her time immersed in music. That must be something you two have in common. I don't know if yours is show tunes, though, Alexa. Whether it be plucking at a guitar, playing her piano, or singing her heart out at a concert, Alexa loves it all. Alexa's been with us since kindergarten, and I think that is a story true to many of our Griffins. She attended Rossmore Elementary, Oak Middle School, and will soon be a member of the class of 2023 graduating class next year. I think we were most impressed by her public speaking skills. I think that really came through in her interview. She really promotes positivity among all she encounters, and Alexa's dream is to one day work for the United States government as an intelligence officer to keep the country safe, and we couldn't be happier than to welcome Ms. Dharmapalan as the 22-23 student representative to the Board of Education.
Alexa, one of the things that really took me back in your interview was when you talked about having come to a board meeting and having seen a board meeting and the student board rep, and you putting your eyes on that as something that you wanted to do as a very young child. And that is just amazing. They call that the eye on the prize. And so thank you. And thank you for that determination. And we all really look forward to getting to know you in the coming year. So, Dr. Pulver, anybody else from the board? Okie doke. Thank you, ma'am. And then we are going to move on.
Well, maybe we should, she was sitting down. We haven't even, maybe not everybody knows who she is. Could she at least stand? And do you have family here?
Right,
maybe introduce your family. And maybe come to the microphone and introduce your family. That's awesome.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pulver. And then, so now am I okay to move on? Thank you, sir. So we are next going to go on to the recognition of 11 Greater Anaheim SELPA Community Advisory Committee and award recipients. And so Ms. Delk and Mrs. Reed.
Perfect. I'm actually going to turn it over to Mrs. Delk. Thank you, President Hill. Mrs. Delk is our Director of Special Education and Mental Health, and she really does just an amazing job working with our staff, our students, and our community to support our students. And she's going to be recognizing some of our outstanding employees who service our students and some awards they've been received recently.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Good evening, President Hill, esteemed board members, Dr. Pulver, Executive Cabinet, and community members, and of course, our recipients that are here this evening. It's truly my honor this evening to recognize our 2022 Community Advisory, or what we often call it, the CAC Award recipients. So just to speak a little bit about the CAC, the Greater Anaheim SELPA CAC is composed of parents and staff members from the 6 school districts that make up our SELPA. The primary purpose of the committee is to facilitate communication and understanding, leading to improved special education programs for our students. I'm not sure this isn't working. There we go. Thank you. So the Community Advisory Committee of the Greater Anaheim SELPA and the Los Alamitos Unified School District would like to acknowledge the award recipients for 21-22 who have gone above and beyond for our students with special needs. These individuals were nominated by parents, staff members, community members for their contribution to the academic, social, emotional growth of students with special needs. So I'm pleased to share this year's recipients along with you with a short clip from their nomination form. For any of our award recipients that are here this evening, I would love to invite you to join me up here. So not everyone was able to join us, so we will speak about all those that are here or not here. So come on up. Perfect. All right. Let me move forward. So our first recipient is Janet Alvarado. Janet has been an instructional aide in the special education department for about 4 years. She's supported students across the district and currently works at Los Alamitos High School. Janet was not able to join us this evening. I'm just going to share a little bit about her nomination. So we're so lucky to have Ms. Alvarado as our son's instructional assistant. They have developed such a wonderful working relationship, largely because of her commitment and consistency with our son. Somehow she inherently knows how to best help him succeed in class, challenging him and also knowing his limits. And because of this, he trusts her and wants her to be proud of him. So congratulations, Janet. Our next award recipient is Caitlin Alvarado. Caitlin Alvarado is an education specialist at McGaw Elementary and has been working in the district for 3 years. Caitlin has a genuine love for each of her students and has a unique approach for each student to get the best out of them. She really listens to concerns and finds innovative ways to approach some difficult challenges and does not give up. Our next recipient is Mark Coyote. He is an education specialist who's currently working with our students at Los Alamitos High School, and he has been supporting our students for the last 3 years. He always goes out of his way to make sure there's open communication between everyone and everyone is happy with the IEP. He's genuinely happy to see my son succeed, and I don't think my son's success would be possible without Mr. Coyote. And we do have our next person here, so Camille Erickson. Camille has worked in our district for 4 years as an instructional assistant and currently works with our students at Los Alamitos Elementary School. Her dedication to the educational success of our students with special needs is truly a blessing to the students she works with in our classroom and the entire campus. She goes beyond the call of duty and is willing to do whatever it takes to help students move forward and to be successful. Congratulations, Camille. And we do have certificates. It might be easier for me to just do that at the end. And then our next award recipient is Melissa Francis, who's also here this evening. Melissa started up with us this year as a speech and language pathologist, and we're so fortunate to have her working at Los Alamitos High School. Melissa has a passion for what she does, and whoever crosses paths with her is sure to find a caring and professional person who's willing to go above and beyond to help the students and families she works with. She deserves this recognition and many more. Congratulations, Melissa. Oops. Thank you. Cassidy Johnson. She supports our students at McGaw Elementary School, and she's in her first year with us as an education specialist. Her patience, kindness, and determination brings the best out of each student is why she's so amazing. She's worked hard to find ways to work with my son and has got him spelling, writing, reading, and doing math. He is growing leaps and bounds. I know we wouldn't be here without her. So, congratulations, Cassidy. Taylor Martin. Taylor Martin is an education specialist supporting some of our youngest students at McGaw Elementary School. She's been with the district for 3 years. When students struggle behaviorally, she does her best to build a positive relationship, find the antecedent to their behavior, and adjust to encourage positive behaviors moving forward. Ms. Martin has never wavered in her love for her students and the students of the greater McGaw community. So congratulations, Taylor. Jean Ruiz. There she is. Jean Ruiz is a speech and language pathologist at Hopkinson Elementary School, and she's been an integral part of our district for the last 24 years. Hey, Jean. Jean was nominated by 2 separate individuals for this recognition. Both individuals shared that their children have made significant gains because Jean makes speech and language fun and entertaining. She helps students build self-confidence and goes above and beyond to make students feel comfortable and feel accepted in and out of the class. Thank you, Jean. Sandy Sova, who's also here. Move me. Sorry, so many things to navigate. Sorry about that. Sandy Sova is an instructional aide currently supporting students at Los Alamitos High School. She has also worked in our district for 22 years. She works extra hours to support my son in practices, and it shows. She's caring and understanding. This is more than just a job for her. It's a passion. It's people like her that make a difference in the lives of students and families. Congratulations, Sandy. Julia Stockman. Julia has been with our district for 13 years as an education specialist. She supports students with special needs at Rossmore Elementary School. Julia is an amazing educator and colleague. Julia is a constant communicator with teachers, constant communication with teachers regarding current curriculum and student progress, as well as with families of students. We are beyond lucky to have an educator as dedicated and fabulous as Julia Stockman, who goes many miles and beyond for our students. Congratulations, Julia. And then last but not least, Carrie Wheel. She's been an instructional aide in the special education department for 21 years. She's supported students in multiple grade levels across the district and currently works at McGaw Elementary School. My daughter loves Miss Carrie. She's gentle and kind and always wants to do what is best for her. She truly cares about meeting her needs and treats her as her own. Miss Carrie goes above and beyond. So we really just want to share our appreciation and gratitude for this year's recipients and thank them for providing exceptional support to our students with special needs. And I do have certificates. Obviously, we have some that are not with us, so we'll be providing those. But Camille, this one, Taylor, Sandy Sova.
While she's doing that, just so the community knows, we actually, Mr. Forehand serves on our as our board representative to the SELPA board, and it's the SELPA who's really recognizing these individuals. They weren't able to do it in person, so I'm so fortunate that we were able to recognize them in our in-person board meeting, and also we're very proud. I think we have the most awards out of the SELPA. So our parents and our staff just continue to recognize the incredible work that our staff do to support all students. And so it is a service that you all provide. I just want to thank you for on behalf of our families, on behalf of your colleagues as well, for the exemplary service, your role models, for going above and beyond to support some of our students who, one of the things we say, we run to the students that need us most, and I think you really just personify that. So thank you very much to all of you, those who are here tonight and those who couldn't. We're just so proud. Thank you.
Mr. Cohen, would you like to say anything?
When I sit on the SELPA board, I was just beaming when I saw 13 names from Los Alamitos Unified. So way to go, guys.
Thank you. We are now going to move on to a very special thing that we do here in our district, and we call it Hero of Our Heart. And so in our district, at every school site, they have an opportunity to nominate somebody as their Hero of the Heart for that year. Most of the time, all of the time probably, that means years, if not decades, of service at whatever site that may be. And so we also have that opportunity to do that here at the district. And so I am going to turn it over to Mr. Forham or Mr. Dr. Pulver. Which one first?
We're the dynamic duo.
Okay,
So
you guys get
we
it.
are both going to go up to the podium, and I'd love to have all the representatives from the youth center to join us at the podium as well.
So as President Hill mentioned, one of the things, I think an extended family, a family, one of the things that's really important is rituals or ceremonies or traditions. And as a LoSal unified family, one of the traditions that we really hold dear is recognizing our volunteers or organizations that really go above and beyond to help to do the work and support our mission. They really just help us to amplify the mission that we have, which is providing unlimited opportunities for students. And so all of our schools, as you take a look at when we had our school reports throughout the year, we recognized a Hero of the Heart, and it's our opportunity now as the district to be able to recognize the Youth Center as our 2022 Hero of the Heart. And when I think about this, we're so fortunate to have a partnership with the Youth Center, who provides so many opportunities to connect our youth in ways that enhances the programs that we have, providing safe spaces and opportunities for our students, mentoring programs. I know every year when I get the very short window to be able to send out to our high school students the Leadership Institute that you have over the summer, it fills up almost immediately. And so just being able to help support our youth, as Chris will share a little bit. The Youth Center is also really who we partner with, that allows us to extend the instrumental music program at our elementary schools, because really our program as a district starts at the middle school, and they've been wonderful partners with that as well. And so I'm going to turn it over, who also serves on, I believe, the Youth Center board. But this really was something that every single board member really collectively nominated and wanted to recognize the important partnership that the Youth Center has been for us for so many years and many years to come. So Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you.
And I won't say that we saved the best till last, but thank you for being here tonight. And the good news is that everything I wrote is on here, and I'm going to highlight the best parts right here, okay? So on behalf of the Board of Education, it's a great pleasure that the Los Alamitos Unified School District is honoring the Youth Center of Los Alamitos with our Hero of the Heart Award. Since 1952, the Youth Center has provided programs that have greatly enhanced the school district's focus on the 4 A's: academics, athletics, activities, and the arts. Since 1998, the Youth Center has made up for state funding for the arts by providing an after-school music program for our elementary schools. As many as 300 students participate in this program annually. Additionally, in partnership with the school district and local police departments, they have provided the program every 15 seconds that reminds our high school students of the dangers of drinking and driving. And during the pandemic, the Youth Center provided a place with access to the internet for students to access instruction during the hybrid A-B schedule, as well as full-time care so parents were able to work. This one was one of my favorites. The Youth Center has provided ways for our local high school booster clubs to help at Christmas tree lots, selling Christmas trees. But since 1998, they have given back to these clubs $354,000. Dr. Pulver mentioned the leadership class, and the workshops provide workshops on basic financial skills, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being, creating a resume, interviewing skills, and many more. Students are provided tutorial support, which contributes to their success and personal growth, and 1,950 students since 2019 have received this tutorial support. During the pandemic and upon the return to full-time school, the Youth Center has provided a multitude of programs and services to ensure our students have additional support during these tough times. So the Youth Center of Los Alamitos is our hero of the heart. Thank you for all you do for our students and our community. So.
Hi, I'm Lena Lume, Executive Director of the Youth Center, and I have here with me Shelley Clark, our Director of Program Youth, Debbie Kent, our long-standing board member, Gina Elefante, our Administrative Director, Sean McLean, and of course you met Chris Forehand, he's on our board. But on behalf of our incredible board who works super hard every day and dedicated staff, thank you for this honor. We will proudly present it and display it at the Youth Center, but it's truly an honor to work with the school district and have them as our partner, because it's incredible to see those kids grow, starting from elementary school, going to middle school, becoming a little bit stinky, and then getting to high school and just seeing them becoming incredible adults. It's super awesome, and we're here for the school district anytime they need us, and mostly for our families and our children. So thank you for this wonderful award. We're here for you, and come for a tour if you've never visited the Youth Center. Thank you so much. Yes, we were fortunate to be in this community since 1952, and we created a partnership with the, at that time, Anaheim School District and the City of Los Alamitos to build this center that we're in right now, with the condition that we will be for 50 years rent-free, maintenance-free, utilities-free. Well, all the good stuff, free stuff, ends at some point, so we are coming close to that. But we were very lucky to secure a property right on Los Alamitos Boulevard, and we're 0.3 miles away from Los Alamitos High School and Oak Middle School, and we will still continue to be here in this community and just happy to put our roots down and have our forever home. So thank you to everybody who supports us. Our entire community supports us in here, and all the students who come volunteer. We have over 500 volunteer students at the youth center at different capacities. So thank you so much. We can't do it alone. We have a small staff, but mighty volunteer team and incredibly passionate board of directors and supporters. So thank you. We're looking forward to building our center. We'll provide more info as we get that, as we get it in the future. And just thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much. The youth center is just a really important part of our community, and they have they do several things, but they have fundraiser every year that I go to, and a couple friend of ours always comes along with us, and my friend has always said, I will do whatever it takes to support the youth center, because they were there for my middle school son when he needed after school care, but he was a little bit too old, and so they just did a great job of helping open doors to that, and great programs that you put on during the summer and everything, as well as the music that you collaborate with us on. So we're just really grateful to have you in our community and to be partners as well. And does any of the other board members comments?
It's just part of the community. It's part of the LoSal community. I have seen most of the board members and Lena at different functions that are not necessarily related directly to the youth center. It's you're so woven into the fabric of our community, and that's how you guys are successful, because you're part of the community. It's like, yeah, you go to school and then you can go to the youth center. So guys, thank you so much for what you do for all of the kids here. Just thank you.
Thank you. For as long as I can remember, I grew up here and my kids have grown up here. You've always been the connection in the community that when people talk about the heart of the community or where kids can go and feel safe, you've always provided that for everybody. The extra programs, I love leafing through all of the little classes you can sign up for, and I keep thinking I'm going to do it. I'm going to get on that senior bus and go to Vegas. But I really thank you for being the connection and the safe place for our kids and providing so many opportunities. And thank you for fabulous Christmas trees. They're great.
Your mic.
Thank you. We're going to do board communication, and then we just ask those of you who have been honored if you would just stay just a little bit longer, because we would love to get pictures with you. And then there are cookies out in the foyer, so you can be able to have a little something to look forward to. And I'm sure
I hope there's cookies back there. Miss Celeste is out this week, so I'm not sure.
I promise something there isn't. I'm so sorry, but please still say to get your photos taken. And I know that Will would probably really.
Mrs. Davidson has a piece of carrot cake. If any of you would like to share, just take a carrot shred, maybe.
But I do know that Will would really also probably appreciate a picture with ASB as well as with family and all the other awardees. So thank you. So we will start. Mr. Fayette's not feeling well this evening, so he's going to forego communication. So I'll start with Mrs. Catulli.
Thank you, Mrs. Hill. I'm actually going to try and do this quickly because we need to get to the carrot cake. I was able to participate with Mr. Fayette and Dr. Pulver with our Seal Beach working group, where we get together with council members and 2 board members, part of the city of Seal Beach, and with administration here, and just talk about issues and things that we need to do. And they are planning some great things in the future down there. And I know the police have just run a violent intruder training at McGaw on a student-free day, and they're looking into expanding that. And after what happened this afternoon, we can't do enough of this, which is very sad. I had an ROP meeting, and the big news at ROP is that our superintendent resigned. She is relocating for family reasons. And so, obviously, we support her in that. So now I'm in the midst of a superintendent search, which is not convenient during graduation and promotion time, but that's okay. We need a superintendent at ROP. Now this is the end of the school year. The dance program that the high school put on, Ghost, which they had all ready to perform 2 years ago, and we closed for COVID. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks before they were scheduled to do their dance. And they have just kept working at it ever since. It was really impressive. So kudos to the dance students and to Mrs. Jones, the director there. I was also able to go to the choir show, and their last Pops choir show of the year is always very moving because the seniors are leaving, and a lot of those kids have been in choir for 4 years, and then now they're moving on to other things. And I think it's even more difficult for the parents than it is for the kids because the babies are growing up. I have been to 2 different seminars. One was a webinar and one was a seminar on the budget. When the governor releases his budget, which he refers to as the May revise, basically Sacramento, the Assembly and the Senate in Sacramento and the governor have until June 30th to get a budget agreed upon. So there's lots of negotiations going on. There's lots of nuances to it. And a nuance can mean a great deal to Los Al, either specifically or in all the school districts in California. And I always figure you cannot have enough information on the budget because it is a moving target. Longevity celebrations, and I did attend the DAC meeting, which is our community input for our LCFF special funding money, and Mrs. Davis took care of that and was really great. And I want to congratulate all the retirees again, and for them to really know in their heart that they're the people that have made our district for years. We will miss them, and I wish them the best in the future. And I also want to say thank you to Dr. Pulver, because if you were not aware of it, this morning there was a fire across the street from Los Alamitos Elementary and McAuliffe Middle School. And I think it was a little before 7 or a little after 7, he was already sending out information. We were sending out communications because we did not know if this commercial fire was going to have any impact on our kids, whether the fire could spread, because it was in a commercial area, what was burning, because there could be some toxins or whatever, and we'd be vacating schools and stuff. So I just really want to give a shout out to you because it was handled efficiently and calmly and safely. So thank you.
Well, we have a great team. I didn't do it alone, but we did wake up to a text message a little before 6 a.m. this morning. So.
Well done, Mrs. Gattuli. Mrs. Davidson.
Well, as all of you know, because I'm sure you're running around too, the last few weeks of school mean multiple events. So I think over the last 8 days, there's, for me, and I'm sure you even have more, there's been about 14. I got a little mixed up and showed up at 2 wrong places, but I fixed it eventually. But so rather than go through every single one of them, I'm just going to kind of group them together to say thank you. I've always expressed that mental health and wellness for our students and staff and families is probably the highest priority on my to-do list as a board member. And I just want to say that what I see happening on our school campuses is such a fabulous indication of what can be done for mental health beyond the constraints of counselors. When I went to the high school dance show and saw what those students had put together over 2 years, having to wait, I expected to see, like, my granddaughter's, little recital, everybody prancing around. No, this was a story enacted through song and dance, and it was phenomenal. And what the joy that brought to the audience was immeasurable. And then on to the Oak Choir, where I really expected something that I might have seen 20 years ago, but once again, choreography, solos, incredible presentations on and off the stage in phenomenal ways. And I just can't begin to thank the teachers and the support systems of booster clubs, all the people who help make this possible, the people behind the scenes, because you can see the joy on those kids' faces. These are memories that they'll take with them forever. And for parents and for the community, it lifts our souls. So that was fabulous. The pop music show, I also, the pop choir performance I went on Saturday too, and this was just a mixture of joy and lots of crying, lots of celebration. The seniors were phenomenal. Everybody did a fabulous job, and what I really love is the way they celebrate each other. I mean, somebody would do a solo, and then they just got swarmed by all the students coming out and giving them a hug, giving him or her a hug on the stage. And when they were saying goodbye to Eddie Clement, their accompanist since way back with Randy Karp, you could see the love and respect on every student's face, that this person was a part of their being, a part of their soul for the last 4 years, and it had taught them so much and meant so much to them. And I think that every time I hear any of you kids speaking, you always express your gratitude to other people, and you always express your gratitude to your advisors and those that help you out. And as a former teacher, you have no idea. That's worth $1 million. I mean, what you do, I've kept every card my students have written to me. So when you celebrate those people that support you, you are lifting their hearts. I also attended the band and orchestra show last night, and that was fabulous. Once again, I'm really thankful that I'm not a teenager, because I could not compete with you guys. There's so much talent and brilliance and joy and determination in those groups. It was really very wonderful and unbelievable, and they celebrated every senior individually, which was beautiful to see. And then in terms of something aside from the celebrations of music and dance, I got to go to the longevity pin celebrations, and I really thank every staff member in this district for the years they put in, whether they got a pin or not. But these are people who, if you hear them speak and thank, about half of them would say, I can't talk in front of people. I don't want to talk. And then 5 minutes later, they're still saying how much they loved being here and how hard it is to leave and how much they love the people that they work with and everybody's family. So it's been, it's hard to say goodbye to people, but you celebrate their opportunities, and we thank them for being a part of our family. I got to go with Meg and Andrew to the Orange County School Board Association seminar on our budget. And every time I go, I learn more about a subject that's very difficult for me to comprehend because it's such large-scale numbers. So thank you, Elvia, and thank you, Myra, and all of the people that do that work for us every single day. And it was very optimistic. The budget is good for this year. And so, it's really nice. Any bit of good news we can get, we need to celebrate. And so that's good for our schools. The STEM fair at Oak yesterday, it was so much fun because I just remembered exploding volcanoes. But these kids were there was one, and they explained everything like they were in college. I mean, this little 6th grader told me about how he did a survey on a research on ethical choices, and he would give people 3 dilemmas, and then he would change the circumstances to determine how many people hold fast to their position on an ethical dilemma, and who will shift over time with more information. So, and another person did the 5-second rule and showed me what it looks like if you pick up something off the ground 5 seconds. It'll never happen. I mean, I'm telling you, those things were living. And if I ever see my granddaughter pick up another piece of candy, I usually say, 5-second rule, go ahead. Not going to happen again. He convinced me, but it was phenomenal. And the kids were so proud of what they just explained, everything, their hypothesis, their conclusion, their data, everything. Hopkinson walkthrough today was excellent. And I want to just refer quickly to what Mrs. Galicia shared with us today about how COVID money was spent. All over the campus, there are picnic benches, permanent picnic benches that were bought with COVID money. There were teachers out there working, assessing one-on-one with students while another teacher was working in the classroom. There were kids doing art on those tables, enjoying the fresh air. There were small reading groups out there reading together. So, these very wise people were able to turn COVID funds into something that could be really, really good and excellent. There's probably more, but I don't need to list them. Oh, the DAC meeting about how we're going to use our funds, the advisory meeting. That was excellent, and glad to hear we have more money to do more things. Finally, I just want to say one thing about the retirement celebration today, and this is very personal to me. There are so many phenomenal people that were recognized today, and I worked with many of them over the 25 years I taught in this district. But I have to recognize one, Terry Fieldson. Did any of you have Terry Fieldson? Any of the kids? Yes. I mean, both of my children and my nephew had her, and I have to tell you, this woman has the most incredible heart, and it never stops. And she is the reason, even though she's considerably younger than me, that I became a teacher. I was a flight attendant trying to find a career that was on the ground, and my daughter had Terry Fieldson, and I went and worked in her class and served as a volunteer, and I said, what could be better than this? What could be better than touching children's lives the way this woman does? Now, whether I ever rose to her level of performance, I don't know. But I will say that it was Terry that nailed the final nail into the board, whatever. She was the reason why I became a teacher, what she did for kids in the classroom. And then for those of you that graduated from LaSalle and were at Terry's class, 12 years later, she went to every high school graduation, LaSalle graduation, bringing them packets from kindergarten of their work that she had saved for 12 years, tracked them down in crowds of 1,000, more than 1,000, to give them their packets. And then finally, when my daughter fought for her life, she was on ASB and cheer, she fought for her life. She died 2 weeks before her graduation as a senior. And Terry showed up at my doorstep with a letter that Stephanie had written to the kindergartners because they had all sent her get well cards, and a drawing that Stephanie had done of this. Stephanie loved to draw red roses, and it was a red rose with a teardrop. She showed up at the doorstep with that for me that she'd also saved. So we have phenomenal people in our district, but I just have to say that some of them impact our lives forever, and that was Terry Fieldson for me. So thank you.
You ready? I'm going to second everything you two said. The Hopkinson Walk today was fabulous. The longevity pins are fabulous. The LA Dance, I was on Broadway. The Oak Choir, I was on Broadway again. The Show Choir, I was on Broadway again. And the STEM and STEAM fairs. But my favorite one was a little kindergartner who at Lee had taken colored eggs, hard-boiled eggs, or colored them, and then took a toothbrush with toothpaste and put it on the egg and showed how much good toothpaste does. So I want that chart in my bathroom for my grandkids to figure out it does work to brush your teeth. Thanks to the RCSD, the Rossmore Community Services District. We were there on Saturday and they provided a bike safety program. I got to see Thomas Fennell. He is a SELPA employee at McGaw, but he influences our kids. So we got to go and announce he is Employee of the Year for SELPA.
He is the SELPA Employee of the Year.
That's right. And then in my student section, I want to highlight we have track stars going to Fresno this Friday, and I want to highlight Taylor and Mackenzie and Devin and Lincoln and Brian and DeAndre and Carson and Kelsey and Kaylee. Good luck Friday. We're all proud of you for the big finals, state finals. Then I couldn't decide which one. I wanted to shout out to Mrs. Casta. How do you say? Castiglione? Yes, for she had amazing 4 kids win Cappies, which are Tony Awards. And I got to hear from somebody today. Oh, Mrs. Moore told us all about that performance. Yeah. Los Al for Life on Friday. And what a great event. Fourth period, each teacher chose a kid who exemplified Griffin in their 4th period. and they got to come out, have pizza, spin this wheel. Nicole and I were there. Nobody won the big prize, but they all got gift cards and all this great stuff. And then I want to finish with Miles. Miles is a student at Oak, and we talk about connectedness, and I got to know Miles because he won. He was the only California student to be recognized for his educational video game. And when I was talking at Lion Pride, which is another fabulous event at Oak, they were telling me, well, this is his connection because there are other issues. And I said, what better to end a board meeting communications report about Miles? So Miles, if you're listening out there, you're a good kid. Thank you.
Thank you all. Just really quickly, I already talked about longevity pins. I already talked about the classified employee of the state luncheon, which was very exciting. I also stayed up in Sacramento for an extra couple of days for CSBA's delegate assembly, of which, because of Mrs. Gattuli's tutelage, I am a member. And what delegate assembly does is that they get an opportunity to hear firsthand things that are coming down from the state, and also to tell CSBA, our School Boards Association, what we're really interested in, making sure that we're supporting. And so a couple of great things I believe came out of it. One thing that I heard over and over again was local control. Please let our districts have local control over our funds. And then I did a vision casting exercise, and two things that came out of that I thought were really important was, one, we went back to local control, but the other one was also that the state makes us certify a 3-year budget, but they only give us a budget 1 year at a time. And then they change it on us again and again. And so really the School Boards Association said, you know, if you're going to make us do 3 years of budget, then you give us 3 years of a budget for us to be able to work with. There were also some legislations that are coming through that they gave us some information on, and some recommendations, what they would support, what they wouldn't support. One thing that I do want to say, because I do know it's important to a lot of parents that are out there, there was a very clear message that the COVID vaccine mandates will not be going into effect for 2020 to 2023, as that there's needs to be more. Those bills that were on the in the legislature have really kind of died, and that really CSBA is really supporting that if this is a vaccine they think should be added to our 11 vaccines that we do have, that it go through the regular regulatory process that every other vaccine has had to go through, and that they keep the personal, medical, and religious exemption in them. So I know that there are parents that are really interested in that as well. And so also I had a chance when I was up there to kind of watch the softball game. I had my husband, I was supposed to stream it, but it wasn't as easy to stream as everybody thought it was. And so I kind of watched it on Twitter, and I had my wonderful husband giving me a play-by-play. If you don't know, we were winning. Didn't think there would be a problem. And then there was a grand slam home or 3-run home run.
Yeah, not quite a grand slam. One hit had come in already. It was 4-1, but it was the final inning.
The final inning, bottom of the 7th.
Next hit brought the next
walk off,
in.
and they lost. They unfortunately, our Griffins lost, but what an incredible season they had. I also, when I was in Sacramento, was watching UCLA softball, girls softball, and they were playing against Grand Canyon University, and the pitcher for Grand Canyon University was a LaSalle grad. So it was really, I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, LaSalle. They just said LaSalle. I love that. And then the last thing really was, oh my goodness, was the Oak Steam Fair. And I happened to be there at the same time Nicole was there. And I am just in awe. I am in awe of our students all the time. And some were fun and had great ideas. I found out that you really don't want to have cinnamon gum. You really want to have mint gum, much less sugar, much better for you. I also talked to a young man that talked to me about velocity. And I think of myself as a relatively bright woman, except he spoke so over my head. I had no idea what he was talking about. And he was showing me all of his calculations and all of his calculus and how he got there. And I let him go, and nodded like I knew what he was talking about. And then when he finished, I just asked him, and I said, so have you thought about what you'd like to be or where you'd like to work when you grow up? And he says, yes, I think I'd be interested in Boeing or so on and so forth. I said, I think that's a great idea. You stick on that. So it was just amazing. And I really appreciate getting to see Mr. Maya and just the love that he had and for his students and for putting this fair on. And he had said, it was very cute. He said, I'm going to get some sleep tonight because last night I was at 3:30 in the morning. I was like, oh, what has to be done? What has to be done? So just a testament to our students, but also the staff that really supports and makes these things happen. So that is it for me. So I think now we will move into recess, and you've all been so patient, and I have nothing to give you but photos. So I would really appreciate, and Dr. Pulver, how do you want to start?
So we'll just do the pictures in order. So Will, if we can get a picture with you and the board, obviously with ASB as well, and then Alexa with the board president, and then with ASB, and then we'll do, if anybody is still here, who received the CAC award from SELPA, and then lastly, the Youth Center.
Thank you. We are coming back out of recess, back up into our open session, and we are now going into public comment. Public comment, open session items and non-agendized items. The board welcomes input from the public. This is an opportunity for community to provide public comment to the board on agenda items and items not listed on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the board should complete a speaker request card prior to the start of each meeting. Each speaker is limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. The public comment is limited to a total of 30 minutes. We have less than 10 cards, so everybody will get their 3 minutes. Comment cards can be submitted to the district office anytime after 9 a.m. the day of the board meeting, and will also be accepted at the start of the board meeting at 6:30 p.m. A speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another. When addressing the board, speakers are requested to address the board from the podium, state their names, and adhere to time limits. The board may not take any action or discuss any items not appearing on the posted agenda and cannot immediately respond to public comments. Speakers are cautioned that under California law, no person is immune from liability for making intentionally false or defamatory comments regarding any person simply because those comments are made at a public meeting. So we will go into our public comment portion, and Dr. Robanis.
What am I speaking on? I have 2 cards in, that's why.
The first one is PTA.
Greetings, board. Great to be before you. I recently attended the California PTA convention in Ontario. Our PTA council, which is our school district representative, sent me there. And I wanted to report to you on the resolution that was unanimously passed. Resolutions are very important because they're the authority on which PTA members can speak and advocate for. The resolution that unanimously passed was plant-based food options at school meals. And that also, I just want to inform you, there is some legislation, California legislation coming down the pike, AB 558, the Child Nutrition Act, that also encourages all school meals or all school meal opportunities to have at least one choice that's plant-based. If you will allow me, I'll read a little bit about the background of the resolution. The resolution seeks to engage PTA members, their communities, a concerted effort to advocate for and encourage school efforts to provide equitable access to nutritious meals, decrease detrimental health effects to children, and reduce climate change through the food schools, through the foods that schools have available. Schools should provide a plant-based meal option for all schools' meals offered. School meals and nutritional policies governing them have catered to mostly Northern European people. Food allergies and dietary restrictions are common in minority demographics, have been largely overlooked. Students who have moral or religious reasons for not consuming meat and dairy should not be discriminated against by schools not providing plant-based food options. Plant-based meals are the most universally accepted foods for the diversity of cultures, religions, and food allergies with which students identify. I think I'll conclude that basically when we eat a plant-based diet, that it's much better on our environment too. The health benefits are tremendous, that there's lower diabetes, lower cancer incidences, and lower cardiac issues with a more plant-based diet. PTA felt very strongly about it, and I know it's probably something that's going to be coming down the pike anyway for us. It looks like this legislation will provide a one-time sum of money for whatever types of cafeteria equipment that we need, and that's something we'll look into, I hope.
Thank you, Mrs. Robana, or Dr. Romanes. And then,
Oh, thank you.
thank you. And then you did fill out an additional card that said that you're representing yourself and that you'd have another topic that you'd want to have 3 minutes on.
Yes, Madam President, thank you. And I had actually planned to speak to this board about gunshot detection and the lockdown system in our schools. And I was going to approach you about one company, and I know that Dr. Jerry Friedman is already looking into these things, and I've talked with him a little bit about it. And it's honestly, it's quite expensive. It's about $8,000 and then $350 a month. But what it is, it's an active shooter detection system. And I was going to recommend to you that we at least get it into the high school. But today's shooting that happened at an elementary school, I mean, just really think about that. I just wanted, I hope, and I know that monies that we spend for this type of detection takes away from money that we would be for instruction and other things. And where's that optimal point? But it's no longer a statistic that we can ignore. It's happening around us. And I just hope that we take the steps to really think about this type of detection. We all want to pretend like this is not going to happen to us until it does. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now move on to Barbara Farrell. No problem.
That's okay. So, President Hill, esteemed board members, Dr. Pulver, Superintendent, I'm here today because we still have children hurting and who are in fear because of their LGBT plus status. And you remember very vividly, I'm sure, when we read the stories of children who were afraid to come to the board meeting. And I'm here to support anybody who is suffering that way and help them in any way I can and speak for them or support them when they want to speak for themselves. About the gun shooting, I think every board, school board, should write a letter to the government and tell them to do something. To do something. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Farrell. Next up is Allison C.
Wow, I'm short, sorry. Let me fix this. Okay. Hi, my name is Allison. My friends call me Cedar, and I'm a senior at Los Alamitos High. I co-run the Gender Sexuality Alliance, or the GSA, and I have for the last year. As a graduating senior and given the chance to reflect on these last 4 years, I, as well as a lot of students, feel very unheard by adults in authority. I'm up here tonight on behalf of students who feel dismissed in their issues of harassment or bullying. There is a flagrant disregard for student safety and well-being at the high school. And the inaction by school administrators gives the very clear impression that students are not a priority. When adults treat student plights like inconveniences or act as though each instance of homophobia or racism or otherwise is the first of its kind, it isolates a kid in an unimaginable way. If these hateful acts, whether verbal or physical, are not properly addressed, they're only going to get more frequent and more extreme in nature, and this is already happening. Please keep student safety at the forefront of your minds as you address bigotry at a high school level. You need to hold these acts accountable and follow through to end the mistreatment of marginalized groups instead of tolerating it and looking the other way.
Thank you very much. And finally, Mossy Kennedy.
Hi, my name is Mossy Kennedy. I teach at the high school. My preferred pronouns are he and him. And Cedar is one of my students, and her courage in speaking obliges me to step up and support her. As we approach the end of the year, it is proper to reflect on where we're at. And what Cedar depicts is true and accurate. Our LGBT students and our students of color continue to be marginalized and excluded. And we need to make progress. We need to move towards an educational environment that is actually inclusive and aware. Student voices like Cedar's should be our measure of success. The voice of our youth is telling us we have work to do. We have to work to include all of our students. We have to work to generate that sense of belonging that is a necessary element in the best educational communities. It was about a year ago, listening to student voices helped us to inaugurate our ethnic studies program and to start working towards greater social justice. There is a wisdom in continuing to listen to student voices like Cedar's. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kennedy. We will now move on to the consent part of our agenda. And I have consent A through Q. Do I have any polls?
Second.
Any discussion? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Mrs. D'Angelo?
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand. Aye. Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
All right, passes 5-0. We are now going to move on to action items. And the first action item is 14A. That's the approval of textbook. And Mrs. Reed.
Thank you so much, President Hill. Tonight we're bringing forward Physical Science, McGraw-Hill, Inspire, which will be used at Los Alamitos High School for our physical science classes. This book has been on preview with the Education Service Department for the past 30 days.
Move approval.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand. Aye. Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
The next item that we will move on to is the approval of the first reading of revised board policy 6144, controversial issues. Dr. Pulver.
Thank you, Madam President, esteemed members of the board. Before I do, I just wanted to thank our students and our speakers who spoke today. I too agree. I think we need to continue to listen to the voices of our students, some of them who are the most marginalized and have difficult experiences that sometimes we take for granted. And sometimes they're not popular, but as a public school, we are really charged to be able to be a safe space, an accepting space, and one who really reaches out to all of our students, even though sometimes we may get emails or things of that sort from members of the community who don't support a certain aspect or a certain poster or a certain sign, et cetera. Our job really is to ensure that all of our students have the same voice and the same opportunities. And so it is something we'll continue to be working with. And I know it's a part of the focus of the high school through their WASC goals as well, and that is infused in a number of different ways. So that too is important work that we'll be working on collectively as well. So I just wanted to touch base on that. Bringing forward tonight is the revised board policy 6144, controversial issues. You'll recall we did bring forward a version that CSBA has updated back in April and aligned it with what our old policy was from 2014. And as we read the differences between those two policies, each of the board members had the opportunities to send me some reflections and some things that they liked in the new, some of the things they liked in the old, some of the old maybe that we wanted to remove. We also had opportunities, some staff members provided input, I know, to a few of the board members, which you took into account. As you, before you sent feedback to me, we were able to agendize it. We have what we call a superintendent's forum, which has representatives from staff members from every one of our school sites that meets with me about once a month, and it was on the agenda for 2 months with them as well. And so we are bringing forward the revised policy. We'll do 2 readings of it because even though we talked about it in April, it wasn't with these formalized changes. And this is the collective feedback that I received from the board after the input you had given us. And so what you see today now is the policy that we are recommending moving forward in its first reading. And so I'll turn it back over to Madam President.
Thank you. I would like a motion so that we can then discuss. A second?
Oh, I thought you said I second. I'll
No.
second it then.
So discussion, being this a first reading, we can, if we have suggestions and recommendations still, we can bring them forward for our final reading. So does anybody have any discussion? I just want to say I really appreciate the work that went into this document. And I think that it's very clear. I think it's something that we have had this policy, but I think it's really great that the policy that we had is probably, I don't know, 8 years old, 6, 7 years old, something like that. And there's been a lot of changes in the world since then. So I do really appreciate the opportunity to relook at this and to realign it with CSBA, as well as realign it with our district. So does anybody have any suggestions or changes? Mrs. Gutuli, we'll start with you.
Okay, I almost feel like apologizing because when people decide to wordsmith in a group, they shouldn't be allowed in the room. And that's kind of what I am doing here. I do also want to echo what you said, Mrs. Hill, is that I think this was we did not collaborate together, but we all gave our input and it came back to us. And I really want to thank my fellow board members for the work that they had done because I think it, like Mrs. Hill said, I think it is more reflective of our time and of our community and into something that we need to have. So my wordsmithing is on number 5 when it says students shall be assured of the right to form and express an opinion without being subject to, and the word that I have I don't want to even say issues, but it's the word retaliation. I just think it's a very harsh word. It might be that is the reason why other people think that it should stay in, but I would suggest is saying without subject to negative consequences, discrimination or discipline. But like I said, you guys may want to keep retaliation in because it is a stronger word than negative consequences.
I
Mrs.
like
Davidson?
that change. Yeah, I like the change because retaliation is harsh and it also reflects poorly on the overall teaching population, which I don't,
I think it reflects poorly on everyone in the room. So I was thinking not just, obviously you would think of the teacher who would be able to do the most retaliation, but you could have retaliation from other students. And I just think it reflects poorly on everyone in the room. Okay.
I would just say that, and I will go along with the change, but I will say that I did appreciate the word retaliation being in here only because we hear from parents sometimes that that's the feeling. I do not believe by any stretch of the imagination that our staff does anything that's retaliatory, but I do hear that, and I hear that there is fear from students or from parents requesting conversations, asking questions because they think that that's going to equal retaliation. So that's why that word didn't, I thought it fit there properly, but I think negative consequences is a nicer way of saying retaliation.
Yeah, it's just like I said, it was kind of a harsh word and it personally jumped out to me. And then I was thinking how it's harsh.
Any other, Dr. Pulver, any input?
Yeah.
No, I think that's fine. Really, what the controversial policy is about is we recognize that there's going to be controversial issues that occur. We're not going to shy away from them. They need to be age appropriate, mature appropriate. They need to be presented fair and balanced. And we don't have staff members that present a personal point of view or advocate a personal point of view. And that we even sometimes maybe have to frame the lesson ahead of time to tell students what the expectations are for the classroom behavior when we engage in these discussions, and that students can engage so freely without having any repercussions or fear of harm or negative consequences, et cetera, in the process. So,
I'd like to make
Great.
another comment.
Yes, Mrs. Cattouli?
I think it is extremely important to have controversial issues. Of course, what is controversy? It's going to be everyone's own definition. But I believe it is essential for us to have topics come up that require critical thinking, that have diverse approaches to it, have diverse means of research to find out the facts behind it. And I can remember as early as the 8th grade, I had a history teacher who would assign, it would be like being in a debate where you don't get a choice on what side of an issue you're on. And I had this history teacher that would say, you're pro-slavery, you're anti-slavery. Tomorrow, discuss. And it really made you think, because you were frequently, I think she probably purposely put people on the opposite side. Of course, with slavery, it's kind of easy. Most people are against it. Put you on the opposite side of any kind of an issue because it made you think, and it made you, well, why would someone think that way? And that's why, yes, controversy is something I like to avoid most of the time in my life, but it is such an essential learning tool and teaching tool that we need to have a policy and how we're going to go forward about it. But I just really want everyone to know that this is, to me, in my opinion, essential to education.
I hadn't really thought of it. I think I was feeling sort of defensive in terms of teachers, but I think you're right when you brought in the part about students, because I think that's what these young people are talking about, is when they talk about something, then the teachers might hear comments from other students and don't address it, or the kids may be bullied outside of class for their positions on things. So I hadn't thought about it. That was really wise to bring that part of it in.
Yeah, I think the retaliation word tends to attribute, like what the parents think about it, and every parent does. If I say something about this, is it going to reflect negatively on my child, which is retaliation. And so, but I took it that I think in situations, kids could also not be supportive of one another. We know that. We're all human. We just need to be better humans.
Well, and I do agree, and I think this policy is really important, and I love what you said, Mrs. Cattouli, because that's one of the things that really is, to me, the basis of what we do, is that we teach our children how to think critically. We don't tell them what they should be thinking. We want them to discover that for themselves. And to do that, you need to hear multiple points of view, and you need to respect multiple points of view to be able to get that information and feel in a safe environment of being able to have that. So I'm all for. So I would say that we made a first, we made a second, but now we want to go back and amend it with the changes that have been recommended instead of retaliation, negative consequences. And then once we make that, then we would have a vote on with that change involved. So it'll still be our first reading, correct?
Whoever made the motion can accept that as a friendly amendment.
Okay. I think Mrs. Davidson who made the motion? Kristen. Oh,
okay.
Sorry.
If you accept the change as a friendly amendment, then we don't have to have a new motion. I don't know, Tina, what's easier for you?
I have the motion of Chris Forehand and Makatoli, so that's.
It's also fine because remember, you're going to have a second reading.
reading
So you could approve the first reading, give direction for us on how to make the changes for the second reading,
okay.
which will be the next board meeting.
Okay, great. Okay. So roll call.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand. Mrs. Davidson.
So it passes 5-0, and second reading will come back with the changes we recommended. Perfect. Okay, moving on. Oh, fun stuff. To the adoption of resolution committing 2022-2023 general fund ending fund balances. Not easy. Mrs. Delicia.
Thank you, Madam President. So this resolution is being brought forward due to Proposition 2, which was passed in 2014. The statute requires the state to make annual deposits into their rainy day fund. There's a trigger in the language within the statute that indicates that if the state's rainy day fund reaches 3% or more of the K-12 share of Proposition 98 general fund monies, school districts' local reserve cap is triggered at 10%, which means we are not allowed to have more than 10% of our unassigned and assigned balances. So in order for us to be able to meet that 10% at adopted budget, it is recommended that we commit certain areas of commitment in order for us to be able to meet that requirement. And really that commitment it's for us to, for those unknown financial situations that are still a concern. So this resolution calls for commitments in areas as pension liabilities, declining enrollment, technology investment, health benefit cost, LCFF district priorities, deferred maintenance, and textbook adoptions.
Awesome. Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Discussion? I just want to say that I really do appreciate this and appreciate you bringing this forward, and that even though the budget may look okay for next year, I do think that that doesn't necessarily indicate what the rest of the future is going to be like, and that we really knew and we really do see and know we're having declining enrollment. It's statewide. That was another big topic at CSBA. And so to be able to plan for that so that we can be consistent in when we give our students, I'm just really appreciative that you should bring that forward. So I have a first, I have a second. No further discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand.
Aye.
Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
Okay, the adoption of retirement resolutions. Dr. Frazier.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to congratulate all the retirees again. It was a fun ceremony this afternoon. I did miss a couple people in terms of thank yous, so I just wanted to say a quick thank you to John Speratos and his team for setting up the microphones and always, doing the audio visual stuff for us. Ramon Zavala, and of course, it doesn't shock that Armando Gomez was there, even helping with the balloons. Speaking of the balloons, ASB, who's just like a real life Party City at a public school, for putting together the balloon columns. And then last but not least, of course, is Martine. He's our custodian, who's always so willing to help out, sets up, breaks down everything behind the scenes. And so I just want to thank everybody that was involved in that. And I'm just going to bring the adoption of the retirement resolution as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Any further discussion?
I'd just like to say that Dr. Frazier has another career as an MC.
I agree.
Yeah.
Things we didn't know.
Yeah.
Comfortable.
All those in favor. Oh, nope. Sorry. Roll
All
call.
those in favor of a roll call?
All those in favor of a roll call.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand. Aye. Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
I think we've had more roll calls in this last year than I have ever had. Okay, now we are going to move on to the approval of a new job classification and new job description, network security analyst. That sounds very important, Dr. Frazier.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much, Madam President. This job description was brought forward and approved at the last Personnel Commission meeting. And really, this network security analyst is going to help us in the ongoing challenges for cybersecurity. And so we had talked at great length with John Speratos and also Elvia, and really decided that this was a position that we're going to need to help support those challenges moving forward with cyber security.
Second? I need a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand. Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
Okay, we're going to move on to warrants, and warrants is the checkbook of the district. And we have an opportunity to go through them. And if we have questions, it is kind of funny how sometimes we come up with the same question after looking at 29 pages or 34 pages, whatever it was and stuff. And those are answered prior to the meeting. So I need a motion for approval of warrants.
Did somebody move? So moved. Second. I thought I heard a move. Okay.
I have first and a second. Roll call. Any discussion? Nope. I have Mrs. D'Angelo.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand. Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
Wonderful. Now acceptance of donations, the other side of the coin. And so we're getting towards the end of our year, and people have been extremely generous this year. I don't see it, Mrs. D'Angelo.
I'm going to close that.
It was a good report. You did a fantastic job. There we go. Thank you, Mrs. D'Angelo. Acceptance of donations. Oh, that's a lovely donation for the CDC. Very nice. Box tops. I didn't know we were still doing that. Wonderful. Lions Club for a total monetary donations of $36,869.09 this period. Total year to date was 805 833. I think I got that right. So we had a first and a second. Mrs. D'Angelo?
No, we have
No.
not.
First and a second. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand. Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
Okay, we now have the classified personnel report, the certificated personnel report, and the administrative personnel report. We will take them all as one item. And Dr. Frazier.
Thank you, Madam President. It's always really difficult to follow donations.
You're spending our
But
money.
yes, here we go. The triple scoop of personnel reports, the classified, certificated, and administrative. And a lot of work goes into these reports. Our girls in the HR office really do a great job of making sure that all of our hiring and our recruitments get in. And so I just want to thank them. But I am bringing these forward as presented.
Thank you, sir. Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand. Aye. Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. On to our last item, which is the approval of an agreement and stipulation to suspend student expulsion waiver of a hearing and appeal rights. Mr. Foreham.
Yes, it is moved that the agreement and stipulation to suspended student expulsion waiver of hearing and appeal rights for student A be approved for violation of the following ed codes 48915-2, 48915B, and 48900B.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand.
Aye.
Mrs. Davidson.
Passes 5-0. That will now take us to the end of our open session. Do we need to return to closed session? We do not. So I would ask for a motion to close the meeting.
I so move.
I second.
Second.
All those in, nope.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand.
Aye.
Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Did you sign this, Meg?
I signed one thing.
That's all you were supposed to sign. Okay, I just wasn't going to